So Game of Thrones, for those who don't know, the most pirated, the most popular content on one hand, the most pirated on the other hand, and just to be very clear, this content has been produced in multiple ways, so you will see very soon a Blu-ray HDR Ultra HD, which is the top quality. And what you saw in the market, you saw live broadcast over MVPD network, you saw live streaming over the internet, and VOD streaming from several vault stores. And unfortunately, the quality was not even on all the networks, so I'm not going to comment where was the fault, but it shows you that if you want to show a consistent experience, you need a lot of work, which is exactly the subject of my topic. So I'm going to guide you through few of the important elements, and the title of my presentation is How OTT Service Can Scale to Dramatically Improve Quality of Experience. Can I get the timer started, please? Thank you. So basically, I will give you a quick introduction. I will explain you what are the technology which are today available, like ContentAware Encoding, low latency, which is interesting to have live streaming, and what are the key challenges and how we can solve them with the technology being currently developed. I will make a quick tour to Netflix, because you all know Netflix, and you will understand why Netflix is important in our conversation, and then hopefully I will give you some hopeful conclusion. So for those who are not following the news, there were several services which were launched this year. Altice tried to put the Champions League on their OTT service. In the US, you had a beautiful pay-per-view event with our friend Tiger Woods, and then you have the Formula One, and all of them failed. When I say failed, it means people could not even connect to the service, not stream, connect, which means that there are still a lot of hurdles in the OTT ecosystem. And of course, this is showing serious damages, like people are not going to subscribe, CEO have to make public apologies. So we are not, for all those services, in a good shape today. So for those who can read French, I wanted to share with you the regulators in France have decided to make an investigation on what is the quality of experience delivered to the end user. So this is something unfortunately available only in French, but it shows you that regulators are paying attention to this quality of OTT. So this presentation, I'm going to look at how OTT can scale. Obviously, broadcast today is a yardstick, but is a bit yesterday's reference, since we're doing digital TV for more than 20 years now. And Netflix, you will see, is today's reference. If you look at the quality of delivery to the end user, this is what people like. And this is not a secret that they have more than 150 million subscribers. Is there a way live OTT service can match this Netflix experience? This is what we are going to discuss. And of course, this is mostly focused on the delivery and consumption, not on the production. This is why I'm not going to spend too much time on what might happen on Game of Thrones. So first we need to go to some definition. You have OTT is something which is delivered across a best effort network over a consumer-owned gateway and a Wi-Fi network which is unmanaged. ABR over managed network is basically adaptive streaming over a telco network, is dedicated VLAN, has an operator managing the gateway, and very often the gateway is connected to your set-top box using a wired connection. And of course, the device is managed by the operator. So you see very different behavior for the consumer, and this is why it's very important to make the difference between pure OTT like Netflix and ABR managed network like you might see in operators like you have at Swisscom or other operators who are delivering high quality, even Ultra HD, over an IP network. And of course, you will see there's a big difference in the quality of experience due to those aspects. So let's look at OTT. You have an adaptive bitrate headend. Some operators like Netflix are doing the ContentAware Encoding, which is per title encoding, enabling you to have the best quality with a variable bitrate. Origin server can have a graceful degradation of the quality in case the loss is too high. CDN is, of course, a best effort CDN, unmanaged network, gateway, best effort, bring your own device, sometime operator set-top box. But you see, this is a lot of pieces in the ecosystem which are absolutely not managed by the operator. So, as you can expect, some potential challenges for this type of delivery mechanism. Let's look at the managed ABR, which is similar service, but inside the operator network. You have, most of the time, constant bitrate, so not very advanced headend technology, origin server, a CDN with a guaranteed quality of service, very important. The operator is managing the traffic. And of course, you have guaranteed quality of service on the gateway. This is a managed service, set-top box managed by the operator, sometimes even connectivity through the set-top box with wired connection, which means avoiding the potential Wi-Fi disturbance. So what you see in this example, we have looked at one operator who has his own service on his own network, and the same service goes OTT. And we saw 300% difference between the KPI of OTT versus adaptive bitrate, meaning if we have operator in this room, you have a bright future. So let's look at the technology aspect of the content-aware encoding. So if I look at Netflix and YouTube, historically, they have done what we call per title encoding. They optimize the encoding either per title or per chunk. And for using the very heavy cloud architecture, they can manage to decrease the quality, the bitrate, while keeping the same quality. On the live side, Harmonic has been working in a different type of architecture, more on the frame basis. And we are able to provide similar results using open loop variable bitrate, in-loop cycle visual model, and machine learning. And what's very interesting is that if you look at what Netflix delivers and what operators can deliver for live, basically, if you want to fight against Netflix, you'd better have similar technology, because on the same network, if you cannot match Netflix quality, your subscribers will probably go away and go with other competitors or with Netflix. And this is why I think it's very important to understand what Netflix is doing. So the way it works, you have a basically compression engine who is going to analyze in real time what is the video complexity, and depending on the complexity, will increase or decrease the bitrate in order to offer you a constant quality, not a constant bitrate. And here you can see that in average, we have measured that we can save the bitrate by 50% as opposed to a constant bitrate encoding. And of course, why is it important? Is because you are going to reduce your traffic, so you are going to remove the contention. And of course, this is working on all the devices. iOS 11 was the first specification, was brought this technology to the market. And of course, we can use that up to Ultra HD. Ultra HD Forum has demonstrated this was working also on Ultra HD content. So this is a bit for the technophiles, the one interested by the technology. So you see basically on this chart, on the left, you have on the blue side is using the content-aware encoding technology, and you see the buffering is reduced by factor 3 versus a CBR approach, and this was done on a 4G network. You see the number of profile, you have much more HD profile. The number of oscillation is much lower compared to CBR technology. So we think this is the type of technology you should use in all adaptive streaming service, managed or unmanaged, and this is what Netflix has been introduced in 2015. So 50% bandwidth saving increase drastically the quality of experience, not only the bitrate reduction, but it's also an impact, a big impact on quality of experience. So you probably all have seen this chart. This is showing you what was the measured delay on the Super Bowl, and you see most of the services were between 30 and 45 seconds. So everybody understand that if your neighbors is watching on broadcast channel is going to enjoy the result. If your kids on social network, their friends are going to text them the result, and then you are going to discover the result after 30 to 40 seconds. So here we have a serious problem. So the way the technology works today, if you look at a classical system of adaptive streaming, you have an encoder talking to an origin server, talking to a player, and everybody across the food chain is buffering. At the end of the day, you have 6 segments times 4, 5, or 10 seconds. You end up with a massive delay. And this is what we have been doing for the last 10 years. So MPEG came with a new protocol called CMAF. And with this technology, we are not transferring segments of 2, 4, 5 seconds. We are transferring micro chunks of 200 milliseconds. And with this approach, we can achieve Yes? Yes. We can achieve a much lower delay. I'm going to share with you the results of this technology. So this is an MPEG standard. This is working on all CDN. There is no trick. I can guarantee this is universal technology, and this is why we like it. So we have done in Harmonic some trials with all the different test conditions, managed, unmanaged, with a CDN, wired, wireless, and at the end of the day, you see the result. It's about 5.5 to 9.5 seconds. Today, broadcast is about 5-second delay. So we can claim that we are getting very close to what is today made on the broadcast side. And it's 6 to 9 times more improved compared to what you see today deployed in commercial services. So let's look at a step back now. What are the problems we are trying to solve? So if you look at the classical architecture, you have the compression, the packaging, the CDN, the network, and the client. And in all those environments, each of them are sending streaming analytics, which are aggregated in a big database, which creates you a beautiful dashboard that you are going to watch for hours and show to your marketing people. And this is what we call a log file to nowhere. Out of this log file, you cannot do anything. You can look at the result. You can say, I have a problem on this part of the network, on this device. And the goal is, how can you act on this information and make it more efficient for the delivery, the quality of delivery? So what we do is, out of this dashboard, we are going to create a network operation and policy system which is going to basically send to the network optimizer information to the compression, to the packaging, and to the caching in order to react in real time to all the information, to all the network capability, and make basically the network breathe as opposed to just observe the problem. So this is quite advanced in terms of technology, but this is what we believe is going to enable you to stream at scale with high quality. So how many of you have heard about Zerorating? One. Okay. Zerorating, very simple. It's an agreement between an OTT service provider, Netflix, who is talking to a mobile operator, T-Mobile in the US. And basically what they say, if you stream my content, you are not counting the traffic against the user cap. Meaning it's unlimited streaming, but the drawback, of course, is the quality is going to limit it to standard definition, or 1.5 megabits per second. So what we are trying to bring here is a mechanism where instead of having a SD resolution, which is impossible to watch on TV, by the way, we are going to inform the network information to the OTT operator so that in real time there is API communication between the network and the OTT provider in order to provide the best possible quality across the entire network. So this is a new concept. Of course, it's a bit challenging to implement that today on mobile network. The reason is there is no API, there is no common specification across all the vendors. But we think with the arrival of 5G network, we'll be able to have analytics API that will be in real time implemented by the mobile operator back to the OTT provider. So at the end of the day, you would have HD quality when the network allows it, And this is, of course, a collaborative design between the OTT provider and the mobile operator. So we think this is the future. This is going to take some time. You have to go to standards. You have to convince operator to invest a bit. But this is, for us, a good way to solve the problem. So let's go back to my pet subject, Netflix. So what does Netflix do today? Very simple. ABR headend. Origin server, by the way, doing per title encoding, which is the ContentAware Encoding in the more generic term. Netflix is very smart. They decided to deploy their own caches in the ISP network, meaning it is not a CDN, it is Netflix network. Gateway, best effort. Bring your own device with uncontrolled environment. So Netflix is spending a lot of time and effort to build a client in all the devices. They are controlling the client. They do not let the quality go away. And we think, I don't know if somebody can prove me wrong, that today Netflix has the best quality of experience across the entire OTT planet. So how they do that? So basically we have looked at all the technologies used, ContentAware encoding, next generation codec, CMAF low latency I presented, deep caching, pushing the cache in the network, CDN switching, how can you switch between all the different CDN, traffic prioritization, client acceleration, and network optimization I just presented to you. And you see this is touching encoding, packaging, CDN, client, so you'll see, I think this is probably the most interesting slide of my presentation because it gives you all the different technology at stake. So if I look at what we do today in the standard OTT service, you see it's either we don't do or we kind of do. And Netflix, who has about 250 engineers, has touched most of them and are the first one to deploy this technology. So what we recommend for OTT operators is basically to look at all those technologies, and I'll be more than happy to take questions or to discuss with you after my presentation. And if you do all that, I believe you can reach the quality of experience of Netflix without having 250 engineers because not many companies can do that. So this is, I think, a challenge and opportunities. And of course, the goal is to network with you guys to see how we can help and what is possible. You see some technology already deployed. Some of them are coming along the line. So to summarize, OTT is still in infancy with regard to quality of experience. There's a big difference between managed and unmanaged network. Quality of experience today is improved using ContentAware encoding and CMAF low latency for the live services. Network optimization, we believe, is the holy grail because we will have a collaborative design between the service and the network. But let's not dream. We also need the industry to collaborate, and this is why we have proposed this type of topic to a group called the Streaming Video Alliance. Harmonic is a member, who has started conversation and hopefully will be able to report soon in the coming months if the industry has some appetite to collaborate across all those topics. So if you want to follow me, I'm also on Twitter. I'm trying to keep myself busy and honest, but I have 2 minutes, 46 seconds for questions time.
Any questions? I still didn't understand what happened with Game of Thrones.
So Game of Thrones. So you have two problems. The first problem is the content preparation. So how do you grade the content? The second problem is from the content being created to the distributor, you send that at a certain quality. And then the distributor is also applying some techniques to send that across his own network. So what I've seen from satellite to streaming to VOD, it was not the same pictures. So it's a bit strange to see different quality on different networks.
Yeah.
But here, I'm not touching that aspect. I'm only telling you how to bring the quality as close as possible as what Netflix is doing. And of course, in the future, we'll be able to look at terrestrial satellite versus OTT, see if and how can we match that.
I basically think that OTT is just a technology, right? And it's not a threat, or it's not something that is OTT versus telco or pay TV. Do you agree with that? And how far do you think telcos have gone into implementing OTT as the instrument to deliver pay
So
TV?
if you look today, if I take an example of Swisscom, because I know a bit what Swisscom is doing, Swisscom is deliver an IP multicast delivery of live to their own set-top box. But you see more and more operators, like in US, DirecTV now say, I stop IP multicast, and I'm going to put all my eggs on unicast over unmanaged network. This is the most brutal bet an operator can do, is to say, I do not care about my network, I use somebody else's network. By the way, they have to pay the CDN bill every month, but this is extreme. I think one way, what we call IPTV 2.0, is unicast ABR over a managed network. And you saw from my presentation, there's a great hope to bring high quality for the end user.
Fantastic. Thank you, Thierry. Yeah.
You don't forget Apple TV, Fire TV, connected TV. You will not bury all those devices. They are going to be stronger and stronger.
Thank you.